Okay, welcome back. I'm getting ready to go through what the weekly routine is before we stop. So, the way it works is Monday morning I release the batch of lecture videos, okay? And I release the previous week's lecture notes. Now, I'll explain that in just a minute. I have lecture notes that I use. It's just my notes to make sure I cover all the things I'm supposed to cover in the video lectures. But I don't give you those on the day that they're released. I give you the previous week. So, current week's video lecture gets released on Monday. The previous week's lecture notes get released on Monday. And then a quiz or an assignment is released on Monday. And then, of course, you got the Tuesday, Thursday people. And then something is due on Friday. So it's either going to be a quiz or an assignment or something like that. Now, for a quiz, you basically only get between Monday and Friday to do that. You only get 5 days to accomplish a quiz. But an assignment, it's released on Monday and the following Friday, which is 12 days to include that weekend in there. Okay? Cool. So that's how the weekly routine works. So how much work is this course? Well, about 1.5, maybe 1 or 2 hours per week outside of the normal, video lectures and the normal lab. So outside of classroom, outside of that. But we cover lots of chapters in a week, and there's lots of stuff to cover. And everything is due at 11:59 on Friday. That's how this thing works. Okay, so let's talk about the exams and quizzes. So there's a midterm and a final. It's 25 questions. You're going to be done at home. So it's open book, open notes, open everything. But to tell you the truth, that's not actually going to help you any. You're not going to have the time. It's an hour and 15 minutes to do 25, 27 if you count the extra credit questions. Yeah, it's 2 minutes and 47 seconds per question. You're not going to have the time to stop and go look it up. You have to actually study for these things to be able to do well. And I mentioned we're going to have a separate video review before we have the quizzes. Take-home exams, they're obviously open book too. You can be doing them at home. 20 questions typically takes, give you an hour. Most people do it in less than 25. And I use my lecture notes to write the quizzes. Okay, so I'm not using any store-bought, quizzes that came from the publisher or anything like that. No quiz bank questions. They're all homemade questions. Now, because of that, I mentioned my lecture notes that I use to produce the videos. So when it comes time for me to write the quiz, I don't even look at the book. Not at all. I grab my notes and I go, ooh, that'd be a good question. Ooh, that'd be a good question. So if I'm looking at my lecture notes when I'm writing the quiz, you think maybe you ought to be looking at the lecture notes before you take the quiz? That makes a little bit of sense, doesn't it? Okay, good. So assignments, reading comprehension. My goodness, it's tough sometimes to understand what I'm asking you to do. It's okay to send me a note and say, "What on earth did you mean by that?" It's perfectly okay. Most of the time, you're going to be submitting a Word document with some copied files inside of it, but not always. For example, the term assignment will probably be a zip file. We're going to be using a standard file naming convention. So when you submit your document in the Canvas assignment system, I want you to use this exact naming convention. Nod your head. Okay, good. You understand? So it's going to be the name of the course, which is CIS4311, space, whatever it is you're turning in, like assignment 2, space, your last name, dot, and your first name. So how many spaces is that? 4? 8? 1? No, it's 2. 2 and exactly 2 spaces. If you can count to 2, you won't have a problem figuring out the naming convention. Just saying. Okay, everything gets submitted via Canvas, not doing paper. And, yes, I want you to look at the notes that I provide you and provide you an opportunity to do a better grade. You can resubmit as many times as you like. Now, you can't resubmit on a quiz. But for an assignment, yes, you can resubmit over and over and over. I had this one person several semesters ago who, they would submit it like 5 or 6 times. I'd say, well, okay, that's pretty good, but how about this? And so they would fix that. And okay, great. But, you need to remember this part. And so you just went over and over and over. That's a perfectly good case. In fact, I kind of admire them, the fact that they stuck to it long enough to get it right. Kind of cool. And there's no group assignments or anything like that. So that's easy part. Okay. So where do the grades come from? For assignments, 20% of the grade basically is, can you read and follow instructions? And look, I know that sounds condescending, but look, I've been teaching for 10 years now, and let me tell you, reading and following instructions is very important. So 20% of the grade is, can you read and follow instructions? If I said, produce the following 4 things, and you produce 3 of them, I'm going to go, well, okay, and I'm going to take points off, right? Okay, good. The vast majority of it, of course, is going to be, did you learn what it is you were supposed to learn? Whatever the chapter-specific objectives were for that particular assignment. Does it work? Does it compile? Does it run? Are you using best practices? And spelling and grammar and formatting, I'm not really keen on all that because that's not what this course is about. So the purpose of this course is to demonstrate you can understand and apply the material. That's what it's all about, okay? Cool. All right, so late policy. Everything is due at 11:59, typically on Friday. And what happens is I grade over the weekend. So sometime over the weekend, Saturday or Sunday, I'm going to sit down and grade your stuff. There's a penalty of 5 points per day if you're late. So let's say you had a perfect score, but you were 4 days late. Well, 4 times 5 is 20. That means the most you can make is an 80, right? And if you're pretty good at math, you can kind of sort of figure out that after 20 days, there's no way you can get any points at all because 20 times 5. Cool? Now, if you resubmit, so let's say something is due on Friday. Let's say I graded it on Saturday, sent you a note and said, that was pretty good, but you forgot about this. And you go, ooh. And so you fix it, resubmit it that Saturday. Okay? So your first submission may have been like Wednesday. But I graded it, it's due on Friday, I graded it on Saturday, and you resubmitted it on Saturday. So that, I consider that a day late. Okay, it's a little weird. In other words, when you resubmit, if your second submission is after I graded it, then that's a day late. Cool? All right. So here's my grading history. Now, the reason I show this is just to kind of let you guys know that, I'm not an easy A kind of person. Not everyone makes A's in my class, and not everyone flunks my classes. It's kind of a nice little bell curve. Most people make a B in my course. That's pretty doggone good. I kind of discount the F's over there on the right-hand side, mainly because I just have so many people who sign up for classes and then just abandon the classes, and I have no choice but to give them an F. Very, very few of those are ever people who were actually struggling and trying to do well. Most of those, vast majority of the Fs, are the people who just said, well, I'm not going to turn in the turn assignment. I'm like, okay. I guess you don't mind getting an F. Okay, so feedback. I told you I'm kind of keen on this feedback thing. You submit a document, I scribble on it, and then I send it back to you, and you can go, ooh, and fix it, and we can go through this cycle as many times as you like. Over a period of days is perfectly okay. So reading feedback is kind of the key thing to this, because if you don't ever read the feedback, well, then you'll never have an opportunity to fix things, right? Okay, so you get feedback in several different formats. One is I give personal feedback in your gradebook. If you bring up your gradebook and it says, 78, and you click on the assignment, then there's a link up at the top that says View Comments. If you click on that, it'll show you all the comments that I left. And I have been known to sneak in what I call an Easter egg, which basically is I'll put a comment in your document that basically says something like, if you respond within 24 hours to this note, I'm going to give you 5 extra points on the next quiz. See? You kind of sort of think that maybe I'm serious about this feedback thing? Okay, just saying. And then, in addition to that, there'll be a discussion forum entry that talks about the assignment or the quiz or whatever it is in kind of the broad picture. It provides context. For example, if you made like a 78, and you go, oh man, I thought I did an awful lot better than that. But the average score for the rest of the students was a 60, you go, oh, okay, well, that wasn't that bad. So it provides that kind of context of how everyone else was doing. And then perhaps there'll be a small discussion on some of the points, like, okay, you guys are having trouble with this, or this point was maybe needs to go over it again, that kind of thing. Now, also, in addition, you probably need to be watching your email during this grading period, which is typically Saturday or Sunday. Now, let me explain why. And you might think, oh, no, this could never happen. It does. What happens is I sit down to grade on Saturday and Sunday, and I bring up your assignment 4, and I bring it up, and I go, what on earth is this? Well, it was assignment 4 for some other course. You know, maybe you're taking a history course or something, and I'm going, I don't know what the heck this is. So I have no choice but to mark it as a 0 and then send you a Canvas email saying, dude, that was not assignment 4 for this course. Now, if you're not reading your email, like, oh, I'm going on a fishing trip for over the weekend, and maybe it's Monday or Tuesday, when you get back, you might be 4 days before you find out that you submitted the wrong dang assignment. So yeah, you really need to be watching out during that grading period for an email. I mean, it doesn't happen very often, but if it does, you know, failure to read your email doesn't vacate a late penalty. And don't plagiarize or cheat, because that'll just annoy me. Okay, so how do you read the feedback? So what happened is Gradebook has this little cool thing. There's comments in the Gradebook, and generally I just put like one-liner. I'll say something like, great work, or something. And then I put comments inside the document viewer. We'll talk about this in a minute. So if you submit a Word document, there's a thing called the Canvas Document Viewer, and there's a thing called View Feedback. Now, if you don't click on the View Feedback, you will not see the comments that I'm leaving for you. All right, so for example, this is what it looks like. So this one, the person got an 85, and it says, that's a good start, and I recommend you redo and resubmit. You're going, okay, I guess. But that little feedback button will tell you specifically what it is I liked and didn't like. Specifically what it is you need to redo. Now, if you don't click on the feedback button, you'll never know. It'll be a complete mystery of why you got an 85. Well, I wonder why I got an 85 on that. Don't wonder no more. Click on the dang feedback button and find out why. Okay? All right. So a little bit about me. Hi, I'm Emmett Gray. I'm your professor. I worked out at Fort Hood as a civilian for 1,000,000 years. I'm a software author, programmer. I mean, I've got an app out on the Google Store if you wanted to poke around an Android app. I have strange educational background. I have degrees in mathematics and engineering and information systems. I'm not a PhD, so don't call me Dr. Gray. Just professor or Mr. or whatever. I also got a gazillion Microsoft and CompTIA certifications that you're probably not interested in. I'm what's called an adjunct professor, which means I typically work at home. I have an office, and I have office hours, but I'm not there unless there's a class going on. Okay, so my office is in Founders Hall, room 323Q. I don't have an office phone, but the COBA College of Business Administration admin number is there. And I'm available, of course, for Canvas email, and if that doesn't work, you can send it to me on my university email as well. This is currently what my office hours are, but to tell you the truth, that could change, so I'm just kind of putting that out there as a starting point. Okay, so that's all about me. So I'm going to ask you on our first lab to basically tell me where you are on a scale of 1 to 10 for this course. You know, it could be like, oh my God, why on earth did I sign up for this? I am so completely lost. No, I don't think that's going to be the case. Or 10 would be, I could teach this class with my eyes closed. And I don't think it's going to be many. Most people are going to be, yeah, I got the prerequisites and I'm kind of sort of ready. Okay, so once again, we're coming up on the 15-minute mark, which means I'm going to stop the video and you'll proceed to part 3.